clear focus. You know, some of you are associates and some of you know. It is amazing to have you here tonight. Hopefully you will enjoy getting to meet a couple of others. But before I go on, I'm going to hand over to Rowena to start our formal AGM.
Thanks, Dan. So, obviously, first of all, I want to welcome you all to our AGM tonight, and thank you so much for coming this evening. Obviously, this is an AGM. Part of this is about celebrating all of the fantastic things that we've all been doing, but we do also have, you know, our serious business to do, which is the kind of not so exciting bit that I am doing, so please bear with me. We're going to spend about an hour. Hopefully, you know, we'll do a bit more socialising. And I thought it could be useful at this point if trustees, you could probably identify yourselves, any trustees in the room, tentatively, and change champions. Great. So we've got somebody, Sammy's not sure who he is at the moment, and that's going to be resolved during the evening. Brilliant. Okay, so on your tables, you should have a copy of the minutes of last year's AGM. We are not going through those now. They were sent out to all of the members in advance. So I'm just really looking for a member to propose that the minutes are agreed. Thank you, Steve. Do you want to say who you are?
Yeah,
for the minute?
I'm Steve Williams, trustee and vice chair, but also a member organisation. So I represent the Football Clubs Community Trust and we run the Serious Youth Community Centre in Harrow.
Thanks, Steve. And somebody to second, please. We need another member to second. It's going to be a long evening. Thank you, Sanjay. Would you like to say who you are?
Hi, my name is Sanjay Chandralana. I'm also a trustee and a member as well. I'm with the 819 Harrow Scout Group in this member.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to start with a little bit of an overview of the year. So I've been a chair now for, I guess, almost a year. I've stepped in as interim chair, really, when Malcolm John left the board at this time last year. So for me, I think it's important for us to reflect really on what we've done well as an organisation, as a foundation, and as a borough, really, as a partnership. And also perhaps, you know, look at some of the challenges that the pandemic has given us. What we've been really lucky to have, and, you know, I am going to start with this, is really the brilliant leadership of Dan Burke, the CEO, who I think, you know, everyone in this room would agree, you know, has made a huge difference in terms of what we've done. So for me, you know, Dan's going to talk about some of the things that we've achieved, but there's a couple of things I felt I would like to name check at this point. So the first one is the Help Harrow website, you know, which I know there are some people here in the room that were involved with that, which was really an incredible venture, you know, to reach out and support children, young people and their families in Harrow, you know, during the pandemic, both with practical support and mental health support. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Also, the ever popular Holiday Activity Fund. I mean, we're going to be talking about that tonight, but what an incredible piece of work. And I know everyone's so proud of that, and so are we at the foundation. And also, you know, where we are right now, the Hey Harrow needs analysis. I just think this is a tool that's going to make such an important difference to the lives of children in Harrow. So Dan's got some exciting stuff to share around that, but I just wanted to name check, you know, these programs because, you know, none of these things would have been possible without all of the excellent work of our partners. So we're talking about Harrow Council, Public Health, Education, obviously we've got Harrow School and many, many others. And also for me, I just think, you know, the ongoing support we've had from John Lyon Charity, who've been, you know, pretty innovative actually with their funding, and our other funding partners like, for example, City Bridge, you know, Department of Education and many, many others. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Harrow School, who are in the house, for their absolutely fantastic support of young people in the borough, and for ourselves as a foundation. You know, you've done some great fundraising, wonderful things, and of course, you know, very generous use of the new premises for us. Personally, for me, you know, I've been very honoured to come on as interim chair as a member. My particular interest has been refreshing the governance model, which is something that I like, and I feel like perhaps now we're a bit more agile as an organisation. So we've got different subgroups set up that are working really well on things like finance, equalities, diversity, people, business risk, etc. And all the trustees I feel have been involved really well, you know, as well as catch-ups, our quarterly meetings, I think now a little bit more focused because we're doing the work and the scrutiny outside of the meeting. So, yeah, for me, that's a good thing. However, improvements, you know, because it's really important for us to think about what we can learn from, what we can do better. So again, on the governance, you know, the good thing is we're really thankful to have at least one potential trustee, new trustee here with us this evening. There's another one, unfortunately she couldn't make it, and as we know, Zoom's down. We did a strategic away day quite recently, last month, which were the staff and the trustees. And, you know, we looked at a number of things, and one of the things we pledged to do was to really embed the youth voice more strongly at the foundation, which I think is really fabulous. So, you know, on a governance level, for me, that means, you know, we want more direct links between the board and the change champions to start with, and also look at recruiting some young trustees. So that's just a starter for 6. The other thing I'm quite particular about is I do think all trustees should really understand finance because our role is to scrutinise, be accountable, and obviously we are also a grant-making organisation. So, you know, over the year we've got a new finance manager working with John, our treasurer, and I think John has done some really brilliant work in how you're presenting our quarterly management accounts and budgets. That's worked well. And we also have some training booked in with Voluntary Action Harrow for our trustees on finance. I think for me, as an interim chair, obviously I had a lot of learning to do. As a member, I've been very mindful of any potential conflicts of interest. So I think for me going forward, we should be looking at a model whereby we have, as we do now, the deputy chair is a member, but perhaps the chair should not be a member. You know, just about transparency. So that would be my personal recommendation. The other thing, you know, this year we've heard, you know, the grant making has been incredible. It's almost doubled, and I'm so delighted about that. You know, people hear me in meetings say, we've got to spend, we've got to spend, we've got to spend. And so going forward, you know, we're going to deliver even more grants locally. So that's our pledge to you, our members. Now, talking about members, as you know, when the pandemic started, we did quite a lot of digital work, which was very successful around engagement and capacity building. I think now we're working in person. We're going to continue to focus on, you know, working more closely with our members, and I guess really making sure that all of you, big and small, are supported, you know, where necessary. So I know recently, again, the team have done a really good grant-making programme, looking at kind of charities, for example, who'd never had any John Lyon funding before. So we're going to do more of that, and I think that's important. We do also need to kind of maybe get better, and I guess this is the same for all of us, around how we're looking at our impact, and I know certain trustees are very interested in this area. So, you know, we've got some really brilliant comms work going on, which hopefully you've seen across our platforms, but it's not just about the comms. You know, we're going to keep doing more of that, but we really want to work with our members to look at like how we can really say as a foundation that we are making an impact for children, young people in Harrow. I think probably for us, it's not an improvement, but going forward, as we know, we've got Hey Harrow now, which is so incredible. But what are we going to do? You know, I think the challenge is going to be, as a foundation and as a borough, I guess, how can we ensure that we are doing our part to try and meet some of those needs that have been identified? So we're currently kind of sorting out our next 3-year strategy, our business plan, and I'm very much mindful that to some extent it's going to be a bit of a response to the Hey Harrow report. So really, you know, that's all I want to say. I'm sorry if I haven't given everyone a kind of shout out, but I do very much want to thank our change champions who are critical to what we do, our members, our volunteers, our trustees, but also most particularly I do want to thank Dan and the incredible staff team. So that's it. Thank you. That's almost the boring bit done, but next is finance, which is of course my most interesting part, but I am going to hand over now to John Wang, our Treasurer. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Rowena. I hope this is probably even more boring than, than the Chairman's overview. It's a pleasure to be here. First of all, we've made some progress, further progress in sort of diversifying our income streams. I think income in terms of generated in this year, despite the horrible pandemic everyone faced, our income has stepped up again. I think we're reaching almost £500,000, which is incredible. From you know, I've been here 3-4 times now. Where we started, I remember we were like 200k, 250k. Last year was just under 300k. This year it's almost £500,000 income. We're talking about probably next year, this time, we'll be reporting something around £1 million, which is fantastic, really. And we've made a decision to obviously go for a full audit for next year. So this is still the last year, which is independently examined. So the results you can see here. Our major funders, you can all see the names. Haven't changed that much, really. Last year was still John Lyons Charity and City Bridge, and Harrow School made massive contributions. So thank you very much again, Harrow School. We've had some funding from Department of Education. Obviously, we all know it's the half funding, which this year is going to be massive when you see the figures this time next year. But again, we had some funding from Mayor of London for the Stronger Communities funding. Paul Hamling Foundation carried on funding us. So big lottery fund is about 10k, I think, from last year. So it's all very good. So next slides, this is the split between unrestricted and restricted income. Majority of the income we received were basically restricted, so they're for special purposes, and majority of them were basically given out as grants. We obviously had core funding from John Lyons Charity, which is basically in the green pie there, which is funding our own staff and operations. The next one is expenditure. So last year, again, almost £500,000 we spent, slightly exceeding income, which was deliberate because we wanted to run down on our reserve, because we have a reserve policy of, the trustees wanted to keep roughly between 3 and 6 months core operating expenditure in the free reserve. So last year we obviously spent a little bit more than what we received, but that was obviously designed to be that way. You can see how we spend our money. Big proportion of it went out as grants. We have a note which you probably will see if you have the full detailed accounts of all the fundings that went out and to which organisation as well. So that's note number 14 if you want to have a look. There's a lot of grants that went out as Build Back Better last year, and obviously we started half funding last year, but not the full programme. So, but still, it was quite a significant amount that was in there. Obviously, we also have the other core sort of stream in our work, which is fundraising support to our members, providing support to members about building capacity and facilitate sort of partnership working. We really spent a tiny bit of costs raising funds, but as I said, we've had great success in generating funding, not just for us and for our members. And this is where we stood at on the balance sheet date, which is 31st of March 2021. We carried forward some restricted funds, about 30k. I think that's been already spent in the first couple of months of this year. We have about 120k, I think that's deferred from John Lyon's charity core funding. They always pay us a bit early for the following year, so we always carry that forward. And then what we're left with is about 110k as a free reserve. According to our budget for 2021-2022 financial year, so that is equivalent to about 4.5 months operating expenditure. So we're right in line in the middle of what we really wanted to keep in our reserve. So nothing excessive, and we're not short as well. So it's very good in terms of like financial position that we're in at the moment. Before we close here, I'd also like to just draw your attention to some of the sort of related party transactions, which we disclosed in Note 7. None of the trustees here received any remunerations, Young Harrow Foundation. In fact, we didn't even claim a penny expenses, which is not good. I wanted us to be probably, claiming expenses, so maybe we should do something. We have 3 trustees, which you probably met here, Rowena, Sanjay, Steve, who all hold positions at our members' organizations and who are also trustees. However, they have no influence in the grant-making decisions. So I think that should probably come through as some sort of safe messages. And that's Note 7 for related party transactions. I think that's it. Any questions in terms of finances? I mean, the accounts have all been published on the website.
Any questions? This is where I should be in the audience. No?
No?
Oh yes, please. Yeah. Can you say who you are as well?
Well, my name is Meena Hirani. I'm treasurer of the Harrow Care Trust charity. Our activities are all based on elderly, and we've quite a lot anyway. So we've got one of our young volunteers here. We have a few on board and do great work with elderly. They do Zoom support, teaching IT, teaching them how to use phone, etc. And during COVID, they were incredible. We were just really amazed. One of the young people now done incredible work for us. I mean, we were all busy in our lives, but young people were really dedicated during COVID. We were really proud of them. One day there's several things.
Right.
She's not 18 yet, so absolutely.
That's amazing.
But just a quick question, just regarding with COVID, and I wanted to know whether you received any additional grant and any financial support from government, and what form was it in? I just wanted to ask you that, really.
Yeah, good question. Thank
Yes,
you.
we did claim furlough, but only on one employee, and it's not significant amount whatsoever. I think it was only 1k something a month. As I said, it's really not significant furlough amounts. Yeah.
But were you asking about us helping members to access COVID emergency funding?
Yeah.
So Dan, I'll pass
Yeah.
to you.
Okay.
So obviously, those finances are what we've done going into our account. We have given out support of 1.9 million because what we like to do is not touch it ourselves, so where possible. So the council agreed to claim a lot of funding from the government, and sitting with them and Harrow Community Action, we did about £500,000 of government grants over the last especially in that financial year. And then there was specifically like COVID awareness grants. There was again a government scheme. The partnership with the council meant we could get that out. So even though for John it doesn't go through our account, because by going through our account sometimes we have to touch it because we have to do a lot of work around it. What we like to do where possible is try and cut out us as middle people to get it straight from one source to the other. Which you'll see some of those stats in a minute, but that's why it doesn't come up on those figures, because they don't touch our bank.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Finance questions?
Okay, I'll hand back to Rowena then.
So can I please, thank you John, can I please, here we go again, please, there are members in the room, please may I have a member to propose agreeing our accounts? I'm going to make eye contact with people.
Just to clarify, 2 trustees in the portfolio.
And may you say who you are, wonderful Tracy.
Tracy Hanson, I'm the CEO of the Josh Hanson Trust.
Thank you very much. And somebody to second, please. It's just a formal procedure. Has anyone actually read the accounts or looked at the accounts? Yes, great. Would you like to please second the approval of our accounts? Associate. Sorry. Okay, yes, thank you. May you say who you are, please?
Rachel from my
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for that. Great. Okay, now we get to the more interesting bit, which is our lovely Dan. So I'm going to pass over to Dan Burke. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and yeah, so again, I got to say it, that obviously our finances don't completely encompass what the team has been doing over the last year, because where possible, many of you hopefully have been part of some of the partnerships we've set up where funding's got straight to you, whether over the last 2 years, mental health and violence, all that kind of work. We really did spend a lot of time. But rather than me just talk, what we excitedly did, and some of you are in this room, David and Pieter and a couple of other people went out, and I said I'd love to hear from some of our members and partners that we haven't thrown on a camera before, talking about the work that we do rather than me just speaking. So, with no further ado, oh no, we just missed them. Well, we've gone all the way back there. No further ado, I'd love to hear from some of our members and partners about what we've been doing.
I always look forward to the Young Harrow small pots of funding. They get me out of my comfort zone, they get the staff here out of their comfort zone, the coaches, the youth workers, to try new things.
Before the funding programme, we would probably offer possibly 2 days, 3 days, maybe for 10 children. Just this summer, we were able to offer 200 places, which is, that's amazing. So 25 children a day come through the door to have opportunities that they wouldn't get if I didn't get the funding.
We wouldn't have been able to have grown the way we have, especially over the last couple of years.
Great reports on what's happening in the borough with young people and getting young people's input into that. And because of that, we've been able to pull out statistics that are really valuable to us if we're applying for funding anywhere else.
Young Harrow over the last 12 months have allowed us to do lots of things that we would have really struggled to do. We had done some fundraising and we wanted to support young people. Working with Young Harrow allowed us to run a grants process to target money to where it was most needed.
Help Harrow came along. It was a life changer for us because it was another organisation that had the ability to get food out to parents. All we literally did was referred, and they made it happen.
If they weren't there, you would feel very isolated and feel alone, and it would make their job a lot tougher.
It always feels as if nothing's too much to ask. We just have always felt that the support is there. This service within Harrow is brilliant.
They're vitally important because they are kind of like the foundation. I know the word is foundation, but it truly is. They are, certainly for us and for the young people in the schools that we've been in, so they're the foundation within that.
The networking has been phenomenal. We have made so many partner friends. Before they were in existence, we would meet someone at a meeting and it would be hi and nothing else would happen. Young Harrow Foundation don't let that happen.
We know the faith that we have in Young Harrow Foundation to pull together the community to work towards a collective outcome.
For me, it was one of the biggest opportunities with Norfolk Park Hospital. It was one of the biggest projects we've done.
A lot of the families that came to Summer Days or Summer Project came to us via the portal. But when we were full or we were maybe unable to do something that a family was looking for, we said, well, go to this website, you'll find something that suits your needs and so on.
That's always the first place I look when I'm thinking, I've got a young person with this issue, where can I go to look? I have a little look on the portal.
What's been fantastic with Young Harrow Foundation is they've sort of raised our platform, if you like. They've carried us on their journey with them as well, along with all the other smaller organisations.
And that's where their skills and passion really lie, is to ensure the voices of the charity sector, the voices of children, the voices of the family and young people are heard. We cannot exist in improving the lives of children and young people without Young Harrow Foundation.
When Young Harrow say what people need, it's based on kind of evidence, it's based on research.
The Hey Harrow results and the priorities have really shaped how we look at the wider picture of the priorities of the borough.
There is so much significant need on our doorstep that we're dedicated to do everything we possibly can with Young Harrow to reach those young people.
The Young Harrow Foundation is a key partner in the decision-making process. They're very connected to the local community. They bring all of that to the table and that positivity.
So, well done to you guys. Thank you so much for the people that agreed to do that. It was amazing. And you will have seen through the slides many of our stats, and you've got our kind of our financial accounts where it talks about it. So rather than just giving you more stats, I wanted to have. I was thinking, what could I say tonight? And I don't know about you guys, but the last 18 months has definitely felt like a marathon. And the dodgy links that I have got to link it back to why it feels like that, and see if you guys feel the same, was that moment that you get the gun goes off at the starting line. Never before have the whole sector, the whole community, the whole country decided we've got to tackle something together. We went into lockdown because the government put us in lockdown. But actually for so many of us, that spurred us to say, well, what can we do together? What is the need? Where is the problem? And how do we harness the best opportunities doing that together? And I get, as you speak to people you don't know in the room, you'll hear the amazing work. And suddenly, because of COVID, as hard as it's been, it started to streamline, like a little bit like a marathon. We all suddenly went off on a journey together. We all suddenly were doing something that up to then, we all kind of had our major blinkers on. We saw what we needed to do. And yeah, we sometimes related with some organisations that deliver similar to us, but most of the time, somewhere like the council for a lot of charities, they're like, well, they're over there doing their thing, and the business sector are doing their thing. And even as charities, we do different things. So with that in mind, I know Rowena's already said it, but I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to you as members and as associate members, because I know you are working tirelessly, and you've done that for nearly 2 years. The pain and the struggles and the people that have been really kind of just on their knees, you have been reaching out, you've been giving the support. And what's amazing, you've been doing stuff that's not even in your original remit, because the pain and the struggling so harsh, you've had to figure out how you've pivoted your services. But I also want to say thank you to Harrow Council and some of the CCG that we've done so much with in the last 2 years, because they've warmly opened their arms to say, we can't do this alone. Yes, we're massive, but actually, unless we work collectively, we can't do this together. I want to say thanks to Harrow School. I know it's already been said, but these last 2 years, we have done so much together. Whether it's been a grant that you've received through Build Back Better, because Tim and his team inspired the boys here to say, how can we raise money to make sure local services help local young people? Whether it's turning up, some of you hopefully have used some of the facilities here, amazing facilities over the summer or other times, and the school really are seeing this as first steps to supporting even more than they've done in the past. So we set off on that journey together. We then, I'm not a massive runner, but I can imagine you do. You suddenly start getting the stitch, or you suddenly you get that slope, and you're trying to run up the slope, and you can see the guys that's training loads, or the girls that are training loads, anyone that's training loads, is sprinting up the hill, but you're there with really painful legs, and that burn has started to kick in, and you're just waiting for the slope to go down. And actually, for me, it's a lovely image to say what the actual last 18 months has been like. We have grown so much together. I think collaboration and partnership has never been stronger. I think I've always been a champion of partnership, but it's always been the hardest part of my job, is to get people to do things together. And over the last 18 months, it's been one of the easiest things to do. If there was a need locally, you could just put a little bit of a call out, and people said, yeah, I'm up for it. What does that mean? How do we do this? how do we work? And yeah, there's always tensions, yeah, there's always struggles, but actually those struggles for all have been felt worth it because they've been able to push past those stitches or those pains or those barriers. You then get to the point, and I do feel this, even if I like try and run like 5 thing, where you just feel like giving up. You like most runners, unless they're extremely fit, will get to a point where they feel their body just feels like giving up. And I think the sector, if they're not careful, the council, if they're not careful, many others have got to be really careful in the next year, because I think burnout's a real chance. People have pushed themselves so hard for the last 2 years that actually they will be starting to feel like, can we keep doing this? Maybe I'll just go and work at a local shop because I can't keep giving this much energy, this much passion. But on the other side of that, going back to that collaboration, what I'm hoping, and what I'm hoping we as a service do, is I really want to find ways that we can help each other, where there could be opportunities where by taking a little bit of a burden, by giving a little bit more support, by giving a bit more training, by helping with a bit more funding, that tiny little bit is a little bit like someone giving you that water bottle or that energy drink or something, and suddenly you dig deep and you find the ability to just keep your legs going. We're passionate at Young Harrow to keep finding that. But the last thing on one of those races is that moment where you see the finish line. And not only do you see the finish line, you see the people at the finish line. And suddenly, no matter how tired you are, unless, like there's a YouTube video at the moment where this person literally just falls over. I'm not talking about that tired. I'm talking about where your legs are still moving, but you're in so much pain. By seeing the support, by seeing that finish line, you suddenly find this energy to just sprint. I'm going to make it. I'm going to get there. And sometimes you've got people in the audience or in the crowd, or sometimes it's just people cheering. But you find it from somewhere to cheer. Well, for me, the thing that really made me think about how this has felt for us is the preparation to make that possible. That actually someone that can do that has definitely put the time into their training, has made sure that they've done everything they can to finish the race strong. The other thing that I would definitely connect to that point, let me just see what my thing are, is your resources and your equipment. I think if you're a runner and you turn out in your Doc Martens, or you kind of wear a shirt that's really not, I was listening to a runner the other day that was talking about his bleeding man nipples, if I can say that, just because he wore the wrong shirt. I was like, wow, I've not even thought about that. But obviously, if you wear cotton, because it rubs so much, it's quite a dangerous thing. You have to, if you're going to run distance, you've got to have the right equipment. Now, I will get there in a second where I'm going with that. And the last thing is the support and the ability to know that you're not standing alone. And for me, those 3 links are really passionate. As Rowena's already said, we are setting up for the next 3 years. Yes, we're going to use the Hey Harrow. But what I can guarantee you is we are going to do everything we can, equip you with the training and support to deliver what you need to deliver. I know over half, it's been amazing to see and the need for more SEND support for children. And the more organisations locally feel equipped to be able to do that, well, we've got to do something about that. And that's just one of the training needs. But we are really committed to say, how can we in the sector, how can we as Harrow be equipped to support and inspire children and young people? The second is the equipment and the resources. Where's my dodgy link? Well, let's be honest, we are here to help find funding. Like John's already said, our financials next year is going to be in just over $1 million because of the work we're doing, but that doesn't include, again, all the partnerships and other things we're doing. We're really committed to make sure you as local services get funding. We would love to always be giving big funding, and we've got an exciting one that I'm going to tell you about after the official AGM tonight, but we are committed to keep doing that. But not just funding, because I think if it's just funding, sometimes it doesn't quite work. And I've been in the charity sector for a long time, and actually I always really struggled with funders that just gave a grant and then that was it. They just wanted to hear a report at the end and there was no connection in the middle. Because it's like, well, why did you give me the money? Like, if you really didn't care about any of the middle part, why did you give it to me? And actually, Young Harrow, I'm sure you're aware, is not like that. We want to know what's going on. We want to come and see it. We want to get it on camera because we're really proud of the great services you're doing. And we also know it brings more funding into this borough that doesn't get enough already. And then that last one, which is the support. I not only want to tell you that we want to support you, but we want to find ways that you support each other, that we want to keep driving that way of, and I loved what I think Lynn said, where before Young Harrow, we used to meet people in meetings and say hi, but that was kind of as far as it often went. But Young Harrow refused to allow us to only have those relationships, and we'll keep refusing. And my last thing before I hand over is some wise words that my 4 and 6-year-old told me yesterday, so I thought I'd pass it back to you. After they got in massive trouble, they'd had 2 hours, they woke up, and those that have got young kids will know this. Some days they just wake up, and it doesn't matter what's going on, but they're going to fight, and they're going to argue, and it's a nightmare, and you're thinking, this cannot be worth it. Why am I in children's? I literally hate children. Why am I doing this? So I sent them to the room, and then in an appropriate amount of time, I brought them back, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be a good dad. Let's have a word about this. So the first question I said was, what are you not going to do the rest of the day? And so they said, well, we probably shouldn't punch each other in the face, and we shouldn't say this, we shouldn't do that, da-da-da. And then I asked a question that I've never asked before. I said, actually, what are you going to do the rest of the day? And their answer inspired me because I didn't think they would say it. But my daughter, who's 6, said, you know what, I think I'm going to really look for kind hands. So what do you mean? It's like, I think we should think how we can use our hands kindly with each other. So then my 4-year-old goes, yeah, let's do kind feet too. Let's not use our feet. So they're good. What else? And then my 4-year-old said, what about kind words? That's got to be good. And then my daughter, 6-year-old, said, you know what, the biggest one probably is kind hearts. If we can get all that together, we'll be able to have a great day with each other. And actually inspired me to say, actually, Young Harrow is only one cog. A tiny cog, actually, when we talk about the team that we are, alongside you as many organisations, alongside partners like the school, the council, and many others. And actually, unless we set off this year, the next period of time, as we talk about COVID recovery, with that kind of mindset of what does kind hands look like? How do we hold things more gently? Sometimes we get so tight with our hands, like, oh, it's my money, it's my young people, it's my whatever. We just get tight. What would it mean to actually have kind hands in Harrow? What would it mean to have kind feet, as in we make the effort to see people. We make the effort to connect. We go the extra mile for our young people or for our partnerships. Kind words, well, let's be honest, sometimes a lot of us have been in the sector a long time, which means there's been times where people have let us down or that it's not gone right. And it's quite easy to get then your mindset to go, okay, that's going to be that person, or that's going to be that organisation, or that's going to be whatever. Actually, we really got to, we'd love to be a borough that when you work in Harrow, and I think it is an amazing borough, but actually you really believe people have got your back, your other charities, your other things. And that last one is kind hearts, which is, unless we really believe, we are all doing it for the right reasons. There's not enough money to not do it for the right reasons. We are all doing it because we want to see a better life for children and young people. But we have to believe that we are all doing it for that reason, and we have to find out ways that we can work with our schools, our council, our funders and others with kind hearts to do even more. I look forward to what we can do next year, even more together, and I'm going to hand back to Rowena to do the final part of the AGM.
Fantastic. Okay, so the last part of the official business is around our trustee appointments. So this year we have 2 of our long-standing trustees, Hamid and Vanessa, who are sadly leaving the board after 4 years of really fantastic service. One's moved country, so we'll let her off, and the other's moved county up north, so we'll kind of let him off a bit. But they've been absolutely brilliant, particularly in terms of sorting out our grant making and the scrutiny they've brought to the board. So, 2 places to fill, and we're really, really pleased today to say that we have 2 potential trustees, which hopefully we will appoint with your approval tonight. So, the first of these is in the room, which is Sammy Beneferri.
Well, 2017, back then it was for the needs analysis that we were doing at the time, and I think it was kind of the mission, the ethos, and kind of the way Young Harrow went about things that really inspired me to join them. So I think I have been there ever since. And I've kind of done everything I could to get involved. Mathura and I were one of the first change champions in the organisation, which we're very proud of to continue today. And we've had loads of projects ever since. I think that's everything in a nutshell. If you have any questions. But yeah, I didn't realise I was going to have to say anything, so I didn't prepare.
No, we chuck you in at the deep end.
But yeah, pleasure to be here.
So, can I ask for a member, please, to propose the appointment of Sammy as a trustee? Anybody, Steve? Oh, sorry, yes. Would you like to say who you are as well? Yeah. Would you like to say who you are as well?
Oh, yes. I'm Eileen Higgins, and I'm a trustee at St Albans Church in Young Harrow. And I've had a fantastic summer helping in a very, very busy 3-week holiday club. And because I was a police officer in my real life for 36 years, I decided to be the troubleshooter for our youth leader. And it was challenging, exciting, I loved it. Anyway, sorry, that's me, but I support this nomination.
Thank you so much. That's really wonderful. Thank you, Eileen. And somebody to second the appointment, please. Tracy, thank you. So, do you want to just say your name for the record, please?
Tracy Hanson from the Josh Hanson Trust.
Thank you so much. So, welcome on board.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sammy. And then our other proposed trustee, sadly, at the last minute, couldn't actually make it in person. And obviously, we don't have Zoom going either. So Dan's just going to say a couple of words about Joe. So it's Joe Morant. Yeah.
So Joe Morant connected with us through our work with our businesses, as we do a lot of kind of reaching out, trying to get business partnership and working together. And she's been working, is it ASOS at the moment? She works for ASOS on their corporate engagement and working to find out how big companies can be much more ethical and much more kind of focused at kind of whether it's agenda setting or whether it's as an organization making sure all of their decisions is has a quality around it. So she's really excited to join us, as long as everyone's okay with it. She has no conflicts of interest with the team or with the board. The offices are in Camden. She lives in Surrey, if I remember rightly, and is really excited to give her support of how can corporate social responsibility be even more impacted over the next period of time as someone that's been for a long time sitting on that side of the fence. So yeah.
Thanks, Dan. And just to add that Jo actually does have some roots back in Harrow as a young person, so she does know the borough. So yet again, feel like Groundhog Day. Please, can I have a member to propose the appointment of Jo Morant as... Thank you so much. And would you like to say who you are, please?
So I'm Trina Wadden, Service Manager at Prospects.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Trina. And someone to second, please. Thank you so much. Again, would you like to say who you are for the record?
Rachel Niall.
Got that. Thank you. And we are almost done with the formal part. So I just need to see if there's any other business in the room. Fabulous. I'll take that as a no. So thank you very much. I'm going to close the official part of the meeting now and hand you back to Dan. Thanks, everyone.
So, first of all, I would like to say, while I'm pulling it up, Hey Harrow has been an amazing journey again, like it was for the Help Harrow. We do have some of the Change Champions talking about it. For those that don't know, in 2017, we did a big needs analysis with 4,000 young people that really set the agenda for the last 3 years with the council and with many of our partners of how do we make a change in these key areas. We excitingly were able to get to 6,000 young people this time. 26 schools took part in it. Primary schools massively got involved this time as well, so it's really interesting, the latest data that starts to picture that top year of primary school and that, especially that transition period, which we're really interested by. So without further ado, to set the scene, and to officially launch the summary. So there is a 90-page document as well on our website. If you, in case you're tired and you want to look at all the data, please feel free to do that. But you've got the summary. But rather than me start it off, we've got some of the Change Champions talking about some of the things that came out.
Hi, my name is Mathura and I'm currently the chair of the Change Champions at Young Harrow Foundation. Today I'm joined by Sammy and Tamio and Danny, who are all change champions at Young Harrow Foundation, and we're going to be discussing the Hey Harrow survey results.
Talking just personally, I'm a very social person. I need that human interaction, I guess, to thrive. Not being able to have that obviously really impacted my life, being stuck at home, not being able to leave the house, knowing that I did have problems and not exactly knowing who to talk to, and it's so difficult to access help.
I know that during the first pandemic, I didn't even have Zoom, so it's like I didn't even have interaction with my own teacher. So it was like teaching myself through my GCSEs, which I did quite well in, no matter what.
The pressure is ridiculously high, like now more than ever. The exam formats have changed, and you come out often with degrees because so many people are just pushed into university, and you've got so many young people that are just unemployed graduates. So I think that is, for me, the biggest contributor to young people struggling with their mental well-being. It's first of all, while they're in education, there's a big pressure on achieving, and then once they've achieved, it's like, okay, well now what do we do, kind of thing.
There's a lot of young people that are in your communities that you see dying on the streets, that you see not being able to survive like financially. There's also, you know, sexual harassment problems. There's a whole great deal of problems that young people are facing. I think it all culminates into that negative headspace.
And so tonight I'd love you to, so some of them are here, by all means, in a bit when we finish to kind of chat and connect with people, I'd love you to have a chat with them. And the summary report, I'm going to tell you a couple of exciting news in a minute. Oh, do you want to give them a round of applause for reviewing? And well done, Mathira, for editing, for directing, not editing. You didn't have to edit it. And that report, the reason we do those reports is to help you with your fundraising. So please take it home. If you've got a bid to go, start copying and pasting it. I know I'm speaking at a London's Funders Conference about it, because the more we can get it in front of funders, the more it's easier for you to apply, because many other boroughs haven't committed to really listening to young people. And it really does make a difference to funders. So hopefully we'll see more funding coming in. But the three things that we're going to be doing based on that is, the first one is we will be launching a whole load of useful, actually one more, thank you. Kerry, just to say well done. That report has been a massive piece of work. And it's mostly because this time the 90-page report behind it is everyone wants their thing in. There's so much data, there is so much intelligence that you guys can use in whatever form you want. To try and get that down into a summary report has been tough, because people have pulled and pushed and wanted to see things, and it's really hard to kind of go, okay, we've got there. And Kerry's led that for our point, and then with some of the partners that have done it, like Public Health and the Council and others, it's been a long process, but it really has shone through. So when you read it, hopefully not only is it an interesting read, but there's some really interesting data that you should be able to copy and paste across. Well, thank you.
Don't tell me if there's any typos.
But the three things that we are excited to tell you about. Firstly, the Change Champions will be involved in doing a whole load of, up to kind of beginning of next year, are going to be going out and doing, like you've just seen with them here, we want a load of context around why these figures are there. Because actually figures are only one thing, it only tells one story. We can't always go to a fund and say cause and effect. We've got a problem, the effect is because you're not doing something. Actually, it's very hard to do that. And the more that we keep driving what the story is around that, the more we are able to locally make a real change in the good way together. So the Change Champions are going to be doing loads of youth voice things. So if you've got young people that want a voice and something that comes out of that, they will be sending some stuff out to say, we'd love to be doing some youth voice pieces of work with you. So that's the first thing. Second one is each of the 6 strands that have come out, there will be like a workshop-y kind of thing, giving everyone an opportunity to to drill into that a little bit with us if you would like to be part of that. Because the Council of Public Health and CCG have committed that over the next 3 years, this really is going to be some of their focus. So if we're going to build back better, if we're really focused at coming out of COVID stronger, then we need to know what we're going to do to combat some of this. So those workshops will then directly be going into the local strategies and stuff like that. But the more exciting two pieces, the first one is in partnership with Harrow School, we will be launching at the end of this year a small grants program with a good amount in there for people to apply up to either 3K or 8K depending on the size of your project. And your guidance will pretty much be that summary. If you have got something that you can deliver to combat something in that summary, we want to look at a way of giving you a small grant for it. Because we really want to get people focused, not just on the subject matter, but you will see the difference between the last one and this one is that this one gives you a bit more detail. It gives you a little bit more focus of the problem. We've tried to drill in a little bit closer. So it helps kind of strategic people understand it, but two, it helps you use it more effectively. So thank you Harrow School, but that's a really exciting thing that will be coming your way. You'll get an email over the next month, hopefully, to open that, and then they'll be open until January, just in case you wanted to work over Christmas. We don't want you to work, we know some people do, but then those decisions will be made to be given to you for April. The other thing, which is not even more exciting, because they're both exciting, but the other one is John Lyons have agreed to do a collaboration grant, and what this will mean is it will be released probably tomorrow. You get an email about tomorrow, but we are looking to fund about £540,000 over the next 3 years to 3 or 4 organisations to tackle something that you've seen through that report in Wheelstone area. They're really interesting about geographical. How can we make a change in a geographical thing? John Lyons decided to choose, that wasn't our choice. They're the ones that chose Wheelstone area. What they've agreed is that those 4 organisations, one of them has to be a school, because we're really committed over the next period of time. There has to be a new way of working with schools. It can't just be schools are just the way we get to young people. Actually, we need to figure out what that working relationship is. But it's a significant piece of funding. It's 3 years, that 540,000 is over 3 years. You will have to be working as a partnership between a minimum of 3, maximum of 4 organisations, and one of them is a school. Excitingly, you'll be seeing that, like I said, hopefully tomorrow, at worst the day after. You will then have about 5 weeks to come up with a plan, and to, especially, what do you want to do, how would your organisations work, stuff like that. You will apply. The second part to it, which is just as exciting, we are then going to, in partnership with the school, we're going to give you a small grant to then, if you get through. So we'll be looking for 2 or 3 partnerships we think is a really good idea. We will give you a small grant to then, for about 6 to 8 weeks, to really build up your plan. So we're not going to just ask you to go away and do loads of work because you suddenly got all this spare time. We know you haven't. So we're going to give you a small grant to actually build up that plan. We really want to see youth voice really clear through it, and that it's part of it. And you'll be presenting to a panel in February where there will be a decision, I think it's March actually, there will be a decision made which one of those John Lyons will agree to take forward and try this very different way of funding. But it is a significant piece of funding, so if you're interested in that, look for your emails, and that will be coming to you very, very shortly. As always, we're really proud of it. We think it's a really good piece of work, and we really hope it makes a massive difference. And our change champions, like Rowena said, we are, I think all the grants rounds we've done over the last year, just so in case you didn't know, a change champion now sits, so that youth voice is part of every decision we make. And we are looking at the whole organisation and the way we work with you as partners. So some of you hopefully have had some visits from some of the change champions. So rather than me or kind of one of the trustees, someone like that coming, we really want to see more our change champions being the voice of seeing things and understanding what's working and what's not working. We're going to keep driving and building that. Well, tonight hopefully is an opportunity to connect. I'm sorry, we're going to have to say another sorry to the 30 people that wanted to join who couldn't join. Hopefully we'll have it all on film. We'd love you to eat some food, because otherwise I've got to figure out where to throw all that, and that's wrong. We'd love you to drink some drinks. And we'd love you just to connect for a little bit of time. Say hi, just connect with each other. It's so great to have, and it's some new faces as well, which is really exciting. I know some of you through HAF has been where you've joined us. You can see 4 in the room that have never been to any of our AGMs before. And that's really exciting. We're always really intrigued to keep building this partnership of working together to change everyone's lives. Thanks so much for coming. Please eat some food.